To be a Steeler is to consider others before you consider yourself. To protect your brother, even from himself. To give support at your own expense. And when wearing the black and gold suit of armor, make sure nobody desecrates it, disrespects it. Most importantly, we ourselves don't dishonor it. From previous legends who have donned the black and gold. These virtues I learned while playing for the Steelers are what make the legacy of the black and gold timeless. They are passed down in the locker room from the steel curtain to anyone who valiantly wears the black and gold. Creating a brotherhood that is deeper than money, business, and winning. To be a Steeler is to consider others before you consider yourself. This is our culture, Steeler culture.
Now, here are your hosts, Rob and Dan, the SteelTwins.
Steeler Nation, what is going on? Thank you guys so very much for joining us on yet another edition of the Steeler Culture Podcast, where we break down Pittsburgh Steelers football. We are the SteelTwins, and we are live for the first time since 3 weeks ago when Mason Rudolph was resigned to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he came back to the city of Pittsburgh. And oh my goodness, just right out the gate, Jacob Frederick has become an STN member. Thank you, Jacob.
Actually, he's been a member for 11 months. I don't know why the alert says he became an STN member. In reality, it says he's been a member for 11 months. Says, yo, boys, I'm waiting for a quarterback already. Go Steelers.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because today we are live to be talking about a certain quarterback that is being speculated to potentially fall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That being Colorado quarterback and the son of Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders. He had a top 30 visit with the Steelers just yesterday, and according to him, it was a 10 out of 10 visit. So he has the liking of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He sure does. I didn't think 2 weeks ago we would be sitting here discussing the possibility of Shador Sanders being drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers just based on the fact that they brought him in for a top 30 pre-draft visit. He was one of the few quarterbacks that they brought in for top 30 visits. It was Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart. Next week will be Kyle McCord. And now officially Shedeur Sanders. Never would have thought that would have happened.
No. If I'm going to be real, I thought they would have had Will Howard in for a top 30 visit before Shedeur Sanders, but here we are.
Or even like a Jalen Merrill, just based on their interest, because Howard and Merrill are two of three guys that they sent the house to in regards to a quarterback's pro day. They didn't bring any of them in. There's still time. They still got a couple more visits to do in 13 days, 12, 11 days, whenever the deadline is. So they got time to do it, but they brought in Shedeur Sanders. Now, this could very well just be them doing their due diligence, very similar to what they did last year with Michael Penix. They brought in Michael Penix last year for a top 30 visit, just kind of just
get a feel.
Exactly. And I think that's that similar situation here with Shedeur Sanders, but that's not going to stop people from thinking and maybe even dare I say, overreact in regards to him potentially falling to pick 21. But here's the thing. There is a realistic possibility because the Giants, they could take him at what, pick 3, I think?
They have the 3rd overall pick, but they have not only just Jameis Winston, but Russell Wilson.
Let's ride.
Yeah, I suppose. Which, by the way, that's still a emote in the STN. That's got to go.
Got to change it.
That's got to get kicked out.
That will be changed by draft time. You guys can definitely expect that.
Guaranteed.
People are saying maybe the Raiders, but they just extended Geno Smith, so probably not. What about the Saints? Because Derek Carr
just today, there's uncertainty about his playing availability this upcoming season. He's got a shoulder injury that could potentially lead to surgery, and it could knock him out for the season. And the Saints, they obviously need a quarterback and maybe one for the future.
Right. But
Carr has not panned out well, and their 2 backups, Hayner and Spencer Rattler.
yeah, no.
Nah.
However, you look at the landscape of the New Orleans Saints team right now with Kellen Moore at at quarterback.
Yeah.
Do they go quarterback at all? Or do they go a certain other quarterback from Ole Miss?
Jackson Dart.
Potentially. Maybe they trade for a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins. Maybe they sign someone that's still out there. Aaron Rodgers. Listen, I'm just going to throw it out there because I don't want it to happen. Listen, I'm trying to help you guys out here. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe A-Rod should just make up his mind like right now.
I thought he'd be at the big night at show for Pat McAfee in Pittsburgh.
Well, McAfee was telling the truth on Ben's podcast and at the show. He wasn't there.
No, he was not there. There was several instances where I thought he was leading up to it.
Yeah, your ears perked a little bit, and the crowd was like, oh, shoot, he mentioned him.
Not only did my ears perk a little bit, my heart beat faster than usual.
Run the ball!
Yes, we will run the ball. Matthew. Shout to Matthew
He's
in the
been
chat.
a member for 28 months. Says, I want Kenneth Grant. Don't want Dart, LOL.
We'll get into it, man. We'll get into it because I'm still very high on them going D-line in the first round, even if Sanders falls. We'll get into it. We'll definitely get into all the discussion, his possibilities, the interest from the Steelers, the pros and cons in regards to Sanders' game. We'll get into all that. But first, hey, guys, it's great to be live again for the first time in 4 weeks. Last time we were live, we discussed a certain quarterback in Mason Rudolph, and now we're discussing another quarterback who very well could be Mason Rudolph's teammate. It's quarterback week for the channel, guys. We discussed Milroe, we discussed Dart, and now, unexpectedly, we're discussing Shedeur Sanders, because why not? It's going to be an interesting next couple weeks. 13 days up until the draft, because now that this is official and the interest is there, everything's going to go crazy. There's people saying the Steelers should trade up. They're saying, Shedeur Sanders with the Steelers would be a match made in heaven. It's a good fit for him with Pickens and DK.
And not just that, but the fact that Tomlin is the head coach.
Sure. People are really entertaining the possibility of it. Could it happen? Weirder things have happened.
Crazier things have happened. I mean, when it comes to draft night, people fall for some odd reason, whether that's draft boards being drastically different or just how teams view said player.
Right.
Crazy things happen. It happens every single year.
There's a poll in the chat for you guys. Will Shedeur Sanders fall to pick 21? So far, 62% of you guys say, no, he will not fall to pick 21. I don't think he does, but we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it, man. But first, before we get into anything extra, thank guys for joining us as always. It's going to be interesting next couple weeks, because then the draft is obviously not next week, but the week after. So
less than 2 weeks.
You guys already know for that week, we'll be live all week. We'll be live during the draft. We'll be live for night 1 and night 2, which is going to be very exciting. I can't wait. I've been pondering on those days. Those are the days I look forward to the most, probably the entire season.
Oh, no doubt, especially this offseason. We're inching closer and closer, and we're going to be all hands on deck throughout draft week.
Yes.
I look very forward to it.
And speaking of draft, man, huge shout out to Philly G, a.k.a. Steel Sentinel. You guys might have known or might recognize from a few collabs we've done for the past number of years, especially when we discussed the Steelers' biggest draft needs a couple weeks ago. Shout to Philly G of the Black and Bold podcast, part of the Steel Curtain Network. We were on his channel last week, and we were on his channel this week with a couple buddies. Shout to Steel Jedi. Shout out to TJ. Shout out to Ethan. We were all part of his podcast discussing the Steelers' top 30 visits and having a mega mock draft crazy collab where we all had our each individual picks in certain rounds. and selected certain guys. And let me tell you, the mock draft that we all collectively had,
Fire, dude.
tell you
An
right-
absolute banger, man.
let me just put it this way, man. If we select Jalen Murrow or any quarterback in the first round, one of these guys better put their resumes in to be filled in for that spot. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
So huge shout to those guys, man. Great time last night, and that will be uploaded on Spotify tomorrow. So guys, look forward to that. In fact, I'm going to get the link here and post it in the chat for you guys.
No doubt about it. I mean, it was a fun discussion, a whole lot of fun joining the fellow Yingers last night. I mean, just you guys definitely don't want to miss out on that. Definitely check it out when it's up on Spotify tomorrow. Huge shout out to Philly G once again.
Yeah, that was a great time, and can't wait to get on the show again in a couple weeks as we will discuss the first 2 nights of the draft, literally 2 weeks from now. In fact, 13 days from now, I want to say we'll know who the next Steeler is, but knowing the NFL draft, we'll still be waiting on some team to make their pick because these teams on night one take their absolute time.
Well, we're at 21, so maybe around this time, 2 weeks from now, we'll know exactly who the next Steeler will be.
Potentially, but all we know is in 13 days, man, we will be officially watching the NFL draft with hopefully some serious answers and maybe a good pick in the first round for the Steelers, man. At the end of the day, that's all I wish for. That's all we can all hope for is that at pick 21 or wherever the pick's going to be, whether they trade back or trade up, we hope they get a damn good football player that's going to lead this franchise and the position that they're going to be put in. That's all we can hope for. Could that be Shedeur Sanders? First of all, is he going to even be there? No, I don't think he will. So first thing I want to say before we get into anything else is don't get your hopes up. I see a lot of people getting their hopes up, and I get why. We're thirsty for a quarterback. We're thirsty for the next franchise. We are literally in quarterback purgatory.
We have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. You guys know it's Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson.
So people are craving at the idea of, oh my God, can we get someone that is projected to go top 5 in Shedeur Sanders? I don't think he's going to be there. Could he go to the Browns? Because Deshaun Watson and his torn Achilles last year is going to keep him out for this upcoming season or the majority of this upcoming season. And the Browns have already kind of put the nail in the coffin on that situation because although they still got to pay him an ass ton of money, swear jar, they're not riding with Deshaun Watson as the future of that franchise. That ship has sailed.
No, they'd rather take the chance on Kenny Pickett, LOL. And they brought back 40-year-old Joe Flacco to town. So
They did.
So those are their options, but, they have the 2nd overall pick. And, I mean, like, if they want to take another chance at the quarterback position, I mean, it's the most typical Browns thing to do.
Speaking of the Brown, Pat Brown subscribed to the SteelTwins. Appreciate you, Pat.
Appreciate it, Pat.
Yeah, I listen, this is the most Browns thing ever to go into the season with Joe Flacco at 40 years old and first round bust.
Then again, we're waiting on a 41-year-old quarterback and A-Rod to.
I know. I guess we can't talk now, can we?
No. It's not like the old days, bro.
It's not. I gotta keep bringing myself down to reality. You're right. Anyway, I just don't think the Browns are gonna go into the NFL season thinking that's the quarterback room. So they could potentially still think of the future, or they could go like an Abdul Carter, they can go with Travis Hunter, any way they want to.
If they're smart.
Yes, if they're smart. The Giants is always a possibility. They're going to keep their options completely on the table, but they got Jameis Winston, they got Russell Wilson. Are they really going to go with Sanders? Where is Sanders going to line up in that quarterback room? So you look at the teams remaining, the Raiders maybe, but I doubt it because, they just traded for Geno and they paid him. The Saints. If he gets past the Saints, ladies and gentlemen, there's a chance.
No, because after the Saints, who had the 9th overall pick, everybody else on the board at the moment is not really prone on selecting a quarterback.
Let's discuss the order. So the Saints have the 9th overall pick. They need to hope that the Browns and the Giants don't take him because Patriots aren't going to take him, Jags aren't going to take him, Raiders aren't going to take him, Jets aren't going to take him, Panthers aren't going to take him. So it's up to the Saints. Are the Saints going to go quarterback? If they do, who? Because I don't want to rule out a Jackson Dart possibility because I'm going to let you guys in on some information. Jackson Dart had Kellen Moore, the Saints' new head coach, the Saints' offensive coordinator, and the Saints' quarterback coach, who happens to be Scott Tolzien. Shout out to him. Remember that Thanksgiving game?
Yes.
He was a starting quarterback.
Yep.
He's now the quarterback coach for the Saints.
It's actually pretty crazy, actually.
All 3 were present at the Ole Miss Pro Day for Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm. Doing their homework.
At the Colorado Pro Day, the Saints only sent Scott Tolzien and the wide receiver coach. No Kellen Moore, no OC. So where are their eyes lined up at a quarterback if they do select quarterback? Or do they even select a quarterback? They got so much wrong with that team right now. Is taking a quarterback really the best possible move? Could they trade back? If they trade back, then maybe they still take him later. Those are options for the Saints. But if he gets past the Saints, there's a possibility because at 10, you got the Bears, followed by the Niners, Cowboys, Dolphins, Colts. Colts is a dark horse, but they got Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. They might ride with them.
Yeah, I would anticipate that they would because I don't think they want to give up on Richardson yet. I don't know about bringing Daniel Jones as the actual competition to really push Richardson, but I don't think they're going to give up on him. What, his third year in, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dark horse, but I'll throw it out there. But
I don't think they're going to give up.
I don't think so either. So followed by the Falcons, Cardinals, Bengals, Seahawks, Bucks, Browns,
Broncos.
Yeah.
You said Broncos.
Broncos, right.
Yeah, that's right.
So you look at all those teams, no one's taking a quarterback unless someone trades up. Who that could be after the Steelers, maybe someone trades back into the first and hit the Browns. There's reports, there's talks, there's people throwing out the idea. Maybe the Browns take Travis Hunter and then trade back up into the first and grab his quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. That's an incredibly true possibility. That could happen. That could also not happen. If Shedeur gets past the Saints, it's a great possibility that he could fall to 21. And if he is there, listen, it's kind of hard for the Steelers to pass up on him, isn't it? I personally don't see the Steelers passing on him. I don't know who they would pass on him for. I would prefer defensive line because we don't have anyone there. We need to get younger. We need to stop the run. We need some interior push. We need a replacement for Cam Hayward. I would much rather prefer defensive line at pick 21 because you also got to think we only have a first and a third.
Yeah.
Unless they trade back. Could happen, but let's say in this example, they don't trade back. They stay at 21. They take their pick. If they don't take D-line in round 1, are they going to wait till round 3? They could because of how deep it is, but you're really probably just going to get a really solid nose at that pick, like a Jamari Caldwell or a Alfred Collins if he somehow falls, or the cat from Maryland, guys like that.
Jordan Phillips?
Yes. So you got options in the third, but I'm looking for someone to replace Hayward. I'm looking for like a legitimate, immediate day one difference maker. Not saying those guys in the third round aren't, but typically first round talent are the guys you want preferably. If they take Sanders in the first round, they're going to wait to round 3 to take defensive line to fulfill that hole in that position on the defense.
And not only that, they also have to push running back further down the draft board. They got to put that on the back burner even more so.
Right.
Now, granted, running back is just like, just like defensive line, it is another stacked class when it comes to this upcoming draft class. The running back, when it comes to later day 2, early day 3, there are some stud backs that the Steelers could fall back on. That could be their plan.
Right.
But is it a good idea to put defensive line and running back, 2 holes that you do have to fix? Now, yes, quarterback is a hole that you got to fix. But we stated several times throughout the offseason, this quarterback class is not exactly great. It's not good.
I don't think it's the year to grab the guy because I don't think there's many guys in this class that are the guy, and that does include Sanders.
And we've been adamant not within the first 2 days. You want to go into day 3, even early day 3? Talking about quarterbacks.
R. Barley with a 5 says, subpar arm strength, bad pocket awareness, can't feel the rush. Why do it again 3 years later? All name hype, no real elite talent anywhere. And that's kind of where we're going to get into with Shador Sanders. That's exactly where we're going to lead up to. Shador is good. I think he's going to be a solid quarterback in the NFL. I do. Does he have elite tendencies? Does he have elite traits? I don't think so. I don't. In fact, I don't think he's a top 5 player. I don't think he's a top 10 pick. I don't think he's a top 15 pick. I see him as a second round guy. My concern, my issue with Shedeur Sanders is, what is his ceiling? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be good enough to keep the team competitive within playoff contention and be a really good regular season guy? Is he going to elevate a team to make a push? Or is he going to be almost like a Dak or like a Geno Smith or like a Kirk Cousins, where they're good? They're good quarterbacks, but are they going to elevate the team to that next level? I don't see it in Sanders. I don't, which is why, one, I wouldn't trade up for him. And
listen. If the Steelers were to look to trade up for him, what exactly are they going to have to give up? You don't have a second-round pick.
Well, they have the picks for next year.
And you're not giving up that third-round pick. You're not doing that.
Well, they have the picks for next year, the comp picks.
Yeah, you get those picks in return. They could do that, but do you really want to give up those picks?
I wouldn't. I'm just
I don't think it's ideal to trade up.
Well, that's their safety blanket. They did the same thing when they trade up for Bush, because they thought, oh, we're going to get a comp pick back because we're going to lose Bell anyway.
Yeah,
and they did.
And
that was their safety blanket.
Yeah, but Bush didn't pan out. And that was a Colbert move. That was a Colbert move. That was a Tomlin and Colbert move. We know that didn't pan out well. It was an awful trade. But I feel it would be an awful trade to trade up for Sanders, because I don't think he has that pedigree. The only pedigree he has is, of course, his last name.
Let me tell you,
we all know who he's about.
Uh-huh.
He is Deion's kid. And when it comes to Shedeur, I mean, like, that is heavy pedigree to carry on. You're carrying the Sanders name. And we all know what Deion did and what he left upon back in the day with the NFL. Like, Deion Sanders, like, he left an impact. He left a resume. And Shedeur,
if you're not down with that,
R. Barley, 18.
we got 2 words for
Shout out to you, man, with another 5. Sanders is Kenny Pickett with more hype and slightly better accuracy. He's a bottom 10 starter at best.
yeesh.
I see what you mean. Listen, I know exactly what you mean when you say Kenny Pickett. It's the way he evades pressure. It's the way he spins out of sacks. It's the way he spins away from defenders. I see it too.
Yeah.
He's not Kenny, but in that sense, yeah, we call it the Kenny Pickett around here.
No, I do feel when it comes to pressure coming towards Sanders, I do feel he tries too hard. When there's times when he could just quickly try to get rid of the ball, throw it out of bounds, or just give up on the play, take the sack instead of trying too hard and then lose more unnecessary yardage than he needs to. So I totally understand that aspect. But Sanders, he's got a heavy pedigree to carry on. And, like, he does have that mentality of, having to go out there and carry that name and carry a legacy and go out there and do it to the best of his ability.
Mm-hmm.
He did at Colorado, and the talent is there. The arm talent is there. And I feel like you can work with that. But is it worth trading up for? Or is it worth taking in the first-round pick? Is it that kind of talent? Not in my opinion.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, is does it elevate the Steelers to that next level? I don't think so. I think Sanders is going to be a very quality starter in this league. I think he's going to be a long-time starter in this league. My player comp is Geno Smith. I see similar quarterback style. I see similar mobility. I see similar throwing style, throwing motion. I get very similar vibes with Geno Smith, even down to their athleticism. Very similar. And Geno's solid. Geno's solid. But is he a guy that's going to elevate a team? No. And that's what I see with Sanders. I think he'd keep us right on the brick of where the Steelers have been for so many years under Mike Tomlin. He'd keep us within that 9, 10, 11 win stretch. But come where it matters most, can he be that guy? I don't see it. But I will say, I do see a lot of positive. I do see a lot to like with Sanders, man. You got a lot of good to work with Sanders, man. His biggest thing that everyone praises is his accuracy. He's probably the most accurate quarterback coming out of this class. He's incredibly accurate. I think he does have solid pocket presence, pocket awareness. He likes to stand in the pocket. He knows a defender's coming, and he'll still laser down a throw. He is always keeping his eyes down the field while standing in the pocket. That's a good thing I got to say about him as well. That's the one thing I like about Sanders is what he can do in the pocket. He might be a little short for the pocket, but he might be a little less athletic than you want to be standing in the pocket, especially with the O-line issues that he dealt with in Colorado, and say he is drafted by the Steelers, the O-line issues that will continue, which is where I get into some of his cons here, is because Yeah, he had an atrocious offensive line. He had 0 run game last year in Colorado. It was him and the wide receivers. It was Webster. It was Horn. It was Travis Hunter, right? It was guys like that. But what I noticed with him is he holds on to the ball way too long.
Way too long.
Way too long, to the point that I was watching his film versus Utah, versus UCF, and versus BYU and Arizona, games like that. And I said several times, get rid of the football. He holds on the ball way too long when evading pressure. He spins and dances around to try to make magic happen, and it leads to a lot of loss of yardage and unnecessary sacks. That's one of his biggest issues. And I think another reason why that happens, he drops back way too far in the pocket.
Yeah, like
way too far.
Let's say this. Say that they are at the, I don't know, the 33-yard line. And, of course, in a shotgun formation, you're back 5 yards away from the center when they snap it. So you're at the 33-yard line, and now you're back at the 28-yard line. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Then he goes to the center snaps, and he goes to take the ball, Sanders does. And then he drops back an extra 5 freaking yards, and he's all the way back at the 23-yard line.
And again, I know his O-line was atrocious last year, especially his tackles, but that's not helping the tackles if you're 10 yards behind where you were standing initially pre-snap in the shotgun. That gives edge rushers, especially speed rushers in the NFL, all of the advantage. And with his limited athleticism, that's not going to fly in the NFL, especially in the AFC North.
Yeah.
Now, that is coachable. That is easily coachable, because I noticed a lot of good plays with Sanders where he's actually doing a solid step back, like a 3-step step back. He stands in the pocket, he plants his foot, his throwing foot, and he makes a hell of a play. That's where his pocket presence comes into play. He needs to do that more consistently. He is very capable of showcasing what he can do in that area. But that's all coachable. I will say that. That's all coachable. But come year one, that's going to be an issue with him, I think, regardless wherever he goes, especially if he doesn't have a great O-line. He can evade pressure, yes, but he's also not smart when evading pressure. He does too much. He holds onto the ball. He takes a lot of unnecessary sacks. He makes a lot of dumb plays sometimes. He also makes magic happen. He does.
Yeah, especially around the middle of the field. Like, I do like his middle of the field targets and his usage of it, and he's got great throws toward the middle.
Something the Steelers don't do.
Yes, and that's something that, of course, they need to get back at and utilize more, and that's what Sanders will do. He will look down the middle of the field. He will look downfield and try to target the middle of the field, when he can.
Yeah.
He's got great passes there. His intermediate passes toward the middle are very good. So,
but to answer the question, and to you guys in the chat, let us know you guys' personal feelings. Would we take Sanders? No. Would I hate it? No, I wouldn't hate it.
Would he be my first option? Say he falls to 21. Would he be my first option? No. It would be, I'm in the same boat as you. It would be defensive line.
Defensive line. Or even if
because I feel like all sides point to D-line in the first round.
Yeah. Or even if like a Jade Barron is there. Listen.
Yeah, you can't pass up on Barron, bro.
I am hell bent on D-line in round 1, and we are still going to stick our flag on the hill that quarterback should not be the pick this year, even if Sanders falls. We're not running away from that statement. I want D-line, but if Barron's there, I'm sorry, you don't pass on
Now,
him.
I don't think Jade Barron will fall to 21.
No.
I don't. But he is a top 10 player.
Yeah, I agree.
He is a top 10 player. He falls to 21. You are not passing up on a guy like Barron and his talent.
But I'm throwing it out as an example.
Right.
Like, those are guys I would take over Sanders. I wouldn't hate Sanders being the pick. I just wouldn't prefer it. Like, I would be very okay with taking Sanders.
Like, say Sanders is on the board at 21, and a guy like a Kenneth Grant is still there on the board at 21, or a Derek Harmon is there on the board at 21, even a Walter Nolan, right? And then they take Sanders. How would you feel about that, though Grant, Harmon, and Nolan were all still on the board?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd be okay with that.
You know what I would do? You know what I would do? And maybe I'm giving the Steelers too much credit here. I'm using it as a smokescreen.
Sanders as a smokescreen.
I'm driving up the trade back price. I'm driving up the price. Hey, you want Sanders? He's still on the board. We had a top 30 visit with him. We sent our scout, Kelvin Fisher, to the pro day. There's interest there.
Mm-hmm.
He loved the meeting. If y'all want to trade up, y'all want Sanders, pay up.
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm giving the Steelers too much credit there, but
I mean, listen, anything's on the table. Anything's possible. I mean, Omar Khan said, like all options are on the table.
yes.
And they have their own different mindsets and their own different techniques of, going into this thing,
Absolutely.
going into the draft.
It's all mindfuck.
It's very, well, yeah, it's very, very well possible. It's a thing that could happen.
I maybe I'm wishing on a prayer with that, but
Living on a prayer.
yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. I wouldn't take Sanders as my first or second option. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't, because I think Sanders is going to be a quality starter. There's some flaws, but there's a lot to like. There's a lot to like, and I think some of his flaws are easily coachable. But again, I still beg the question, what's his ceiling? Does he elevate any NFL team? Does he take them to that next level, like a Burrow or like a Mahomes or like an Allen or even like a Justin Herbert? Is he up to that level? I don't see it. I don't. I think if the Steelers draft Sanders and he is the starter in the future for the next 10 years or whatever, I think he'll be very, very solid. I think he'll be very serviceable. He could even be very good. I think his ceiling could be like a Jared Goff or even like a Dak Prescott. And then I still see him on the level of like a Kirk or a Geno Smith. But what do all those guys have in common? They're good.
They're good,
but
they're
not
good regular season quarterbacks.
But they're not elite.
They put up good stats, but again, like you've reiterated, are they going to push you further? Are they going to take you down the path to true success in the playoffs? Are they going to really push you forward?
Right. And maybe we're asking way too much for a quarterback. Maybe we have gotten greedy over Ben days that we're maybe, I'm going to humble myself. Maybe we're getting too hungry for an elite quarterback. But at the same time,
isn't that what you want?
Yes.
Especially in the first round?
Especially in the AFC.
Yes.
With Allen and Mahomes and Burrow, you kind of need that. I don't see it in Sanders. So again, wouldn't be my first option, but I wouldn't entirely hate it. The idea is slowly growing on me, but I'm still going to hold my ground and say, we should go D-line first. I'd prefer Grant. I'd prefer Harmon. Even corner.
Yeah.
Or, dare I say, receiver.
Now, I got to ask you about Sanders. How do you feel about his supposed character concerns?
Yeah, I know everyone talks about it. I'm not worried about it.
You're not?
No, I think that's a overrated statement regarding Sanders. I think overrated and Sanders is two peas in a pod. I think Shedeur is very overrated. I think his name is exactly why he's being mocked to where he's being mocked.
Do you think his name really carries him into a top 5 discussion?
Yeah, it's his name.
Yeah.
It's his name for sure.
Not to say he doesn't have talent. He has talent. Like, you do see it. He showcased it in Colorado over the past 2 years. He has the talent, but the name, of course, is like, wow, like, that's Deion's kid.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the Steelers, we know how much that, especially Mike Tomlin, they love the bloodlines.
Right.
TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, JPJ, the Edmond brothers, right? Remember the Davis twins and whatnot?
Yeah.
Remember, like, they had them on the team. Like, and you would have to think and believe that Tomlin would love to coach and have the, I guess, honor to say, hey, I got to coach Deion's son.
Yeah.
I got to coach Deion's kid, and he's my quarterback.
Which is why I think if Shedeur is there, he is the pick. I can't see Mike Tomlin not taking him.
Right.
But regarding his character issues, I don't think it's an issue. I think the kid's confident. I can't say kid. He's, I think, older than me, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm older than him. What the hell am I doing with my life? He's very confident. He carries himself well. He is Primetime's kid. So take nothing away from Primetime, bro. One of the greatest, probably the greatest DB of all time. One of the greatest players of all time. Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion 2-time. He knows success. He knows how to win in the league.
He knew.
He's going to coach up his kid.
Deion knew how to carry himself, and that was in either football and baseball at that.
Right.
That man was a two-way player in sports and especially in football, offense and defense. He knew how to carry himself. He knew how confident he was. He knew how good he was.
Right.
So, yes, Shedeur is going to carry that same mindset because he got it from his daddy. And his daddy coached him in Colorado, of course. And you know that Shedeur is going to carry himself, and he's going to see himself, as this top talent, as this top quarterback with this potential.
I know people see interviews and his answers and think, oh wow, he's unprofessional. He's cocky. I think he carries himself well. I'm not worried about the character concerns. So when it comes to Shedeur Sanders and the Steelers potentially drafting him and my desire to go D-line over him, his character issues have nothing to do with my rejection of Sanders because I want D-line more.
Yeah. And I don't think that will throw the Steelers off by any chance. Because when it comes to character concerns, it's one of those things that doesn't really seem to bother Mike Tomlin and whatnot.
Obviously.
Look over the number of years of characters.
We do not care.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't. He doesn't care because he sees the talent, and Dan's been very adamant about saying, talent trumps all.
Yeah.
So I don't think that will, throw the Steelers off or make them reconsider thinking, you know what? Nah, I don't think this would be good for the locker room.
Yeah.
Many other people may think that, which is very well understandable. And again, you can't deny the talent.
I do have doubts and questions regarding his leadership at the quarterback position. I think we have yet to see that. Can he be that leader? Can he lead a team? Can he huddle up 11 guys on the field? Can he huddle up an entire team in the locker room and get them prepped for the game? Can he carry a franchise? I don't know.
Maybe that's one of the things that's also throwing teams off is the fact is I don't want to say lack of leadership, but the leadership isn't there yet. But that could be one of the things that Sanders is still growing on, is still learning about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things, that just comes with age and, comes with the experience playing in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position. It's something that Sanders, I'm sure, will understand. And,
he's going to have, he has no choice to.
Yeah. Especially if a team takes him in the first, that is that responsibility.
No matter where he goes, I think he's going to be the day one starter. Or will he?
I don't think he's day one starter.
No?
I don't think so.
You don't see him as day one ready?
Looking at the tape, I don't think so. I think he needs to sit for at least 4 weeks.
I think he's more pro ready than Jackson Dart.
Which
is why I think the Saints should take him.
That I agree. But I said in the Dart video that Dart needs to sit a year.
I agree.
I feel like Dart needs to sit a year and learn the NFL style of offense and work on his cons. Shador still got some cons that he needs to work on. I don't think he's day one ready. You could throw him in there after the first month, maybe, for whatever team, selects him. Get him warmed up, get him prepped, on the sideline with the system and whatnot. And then, when the time is right, when you feel like, hey, we got to make a change, we got to make, some noise on the offense, then you throw in Shedeur and see what he has learned, with a month on the bench.
You could do that. I mean, listen, I'm never going to be opposed to a quarterback sitting for however long because I think quarterback sitting needs to be normalized. I think it really helps their development. I think it really helps their character and what they learn. I think it really helps them ease into the transition.
Yeah.
It's helped some of the greatest of all time. Literally. I think that's something we should normalize around the league rather than throw these guys into the wolves.
And now that you mentioned that, whether A-Rod signs with the Steelers before the draft or even after the draft, is that something that the Steelers could be looking to do with Sanders? Because according to Sanders, when he was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, he said that doesn't bother him one bit if he had to sit behind Rodgers for a little bit or whatnot. He said whatever happens is whatever happens.
In fact, he was on the Up and Adams show and mentioned his visit was a 10 out of 10. And he understands the mindset and why the Steelers win a lot. Win what? Participation trophies? But I get what he's saying.
Well, he says it's very similar to, of course, his father back in Colorado.
Well, the way Tomlin preaches, he says is very similar to his dad.
Yeah.
So I think I think him coming to Pittsburgh, I think he going to Pittsburgh would be an ideal fit for him in the way he thinks, where should I go? I think Shedeur wants to come to Pittsburgh, no doubt. Will he? At the end of the day, I don't think so. Granted, I also didn't think DK would be a Steeler, and I was wrong. So I guess my opinion could be false here. I just don't see him lasting to 21. I think the Saints are going to take a quarterback. I don't know if they should, based on the franchise and the state of that team, how many holes they got, but, they might go quarterback. Kellen Moore might want his quarterback. And if it's not, maybe a team trades back up to get a Shedeur if he makes it past the Saints.
Yeah.
Maybe the Colts do take him. Maybe they're not pleased with Richardson and Daniel Jones. Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would anyone?
Well, that's their situation. That's what they have to deal with. But, I mean, again, options are on the table.
Yeah.
Crazy things could happen. I mean, there's been no trades, when it comes to the NFL draft. Normally, there would have been, numerous amount of trades when it comes to selections and whatnot. There have been no trades as of right now.
No.
Not in the first round. No trade swaps, no crazy trades, nobody trading up before the draft. None of that has happened yet.
Well, that doesn't really happen. That's kind of rare.
Yes.
That's only typically for like the first overall pick, and obviously the Titans aren't giving that up.
Yeah. Or a swap of picks within the top 10 and whatnot. That hasn't happened yet.
No, that's typically during draft, like draft on the clock.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a new poll in the chat. Where does Shador go
Shedeur, yes.
in your guys' opinion? I'm going to put Browns, Saints, Colts, Steelers. Where do you guys think, unbiased, where do you guys think Shedeur goes? How you guys feeling, man? Would you guys like Shedeur to be the quarterback for the Steelers? Do you see him as the future? Do you see him as a solution?
If you're not down with that, we've got
Still Lee.
Shout out to Sterling Lee, man.
$4.99. He says, we keep hearing he won't fit in Arthur Smith's offense, but shouldn't a good OC tailor the scheme to fit the player instead of the other way around?
And that's what I've been saying about the coordinating position for years, Lee. Reading my mind. I always say, how good of a coach are you if you can't scheme your system around the benefit and the positives of your quarterback?
And that's why I always go back to, because I remember reading Bill Cowher's book, Heart and Steel, and he mentioned Ben's rookie year. Ben was not supposed to play. He was not supposed to play that year. He had Charlie Batch and Tommy Maddox. They got hurt. And then Bill Cowher's like, fuck, well, we got to throw Ben in there because we ain't got a choice. So what Cowher did and what Ken Wisenhunt did was they changed their offense and their scheme to what made Ben comfortable, what worked for Ben.
So instead of running the same playbook and the same scheme that they would have ran with Maddox and Batch and whoever, they switched everything up to fit how Ben would succeed. Something we haven't done in fucking years. Swear jar.
Yeah.
I remember when Ben got COVID versus the Lions.
Before the Lions.
Before the Lions, yes. And then Matt Canada and Mason came out and said, yeah, we didn't change anything. So you're telling me with an old-ass quarterback in Ben that had no arm at the time, you're going to run – Lee, I'll get you. You're gonna run the same offensive scheme with a younger quarterback that can throw the ball deep.
And you know what's the problem? You know
Mind-boggling.
what's the problem? They still do it to this very day.
Yes, they've been
Even
doing
with
it.
Arthur Smith as OC. So it's like, especially if the Steelers are really considering taking Sanders, whatever makes him comfortable, whatever is going to get him to the most success as possible, get him as successful as possible, you got to adapt your scheme and your offense to what fits him.
Yeah.
So that the offense and the team could succeed at the best of their ability instead of being like, hey, you got to work with this because this is how we want our offense to run. No.
Right.
No, it has not worked. It is nothing but the same old, same old.
So
And you'll wonder why we haven't won a playoff game.
I think that goes for any quarterback that we get, whether that's Sanders, whether that's anyone else in this draft class, whether that's next year or wherever. I think that speaks for any quarterback that we're going to add.
Yes. Because that should be the way to go.
I agree.
That's how it should be done.
And Sterling says Dart goes to the Saints. They sent the Haas to his pro day. He met with them. Yeah. Yeah, they did. They sent all of the 3 offensive coaching heads to the Ole Miss pro day and talked with Jackson Dart.
Yes, they did.
That's Kellen Moore, that's the OC, and that's the quarterback coach. And
Again-
again, the quarterback coach and wide receiver coach were the only Saint representatives that were there at the Colorado Pro Day for Shedeur. So signs point that, hey, they're going to go Dart because that's a better scheme fit. And it's a better scheme fit, but I don't know if it's a better franchise move.
Right.
Because Dart isn't day one ready.
But again, it's going to be really adamant or evident, I should say, on depending on if the Browns take a quarterback or even the Giants afterward.
Yeah.
Because we know the Titans are going Cam Ward. That's very obvious. So it depends on what the Browns and Giants do at 2 and 3. And then, when that 9th pick comes, if nobody else trades up in front of the Saints, then that's really what's going to be like, okay, like who is the pick here? Will even be quarterback.
Let me tell you, if he makes it past the Saints with every single pick that nothing happens, everyone's excitement is going to rise like a motherfucker. Swear jar.
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy night. I can't wait because honestly, dude, I don't know where they're going. They could go Sanders. They could go Dart. They could go Harmon. They could go Golden if he's there. They could go Egbuka if they bring him in for a top 30 visit. They can go Trey Amos. They can go anywhere. They could go a Marion Hampton, who they brought in for a top 30 visit this week. They could go anywhere, guys. This is so unpredictable.
I cannot tell you. I can't really pinpoint exactly where they go first round. All I'm saying, or what I feel right now, is all signs point to D-line. But even then, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't really like. We have our preferences, but keep your mind open because you just.
I've learned that. I've learned that.
You just don't know. You just don't know this year.
I learned that.
But I just think that with the fact they only have 2 picks in the first 2 days, they need to address D-line early because we have nobody.
Yeah.
We cut Ogunjobi. We have no one. We have nobody. Who's going to be your nose to start? Monty Adams? No offense to Monty Adams, he's not a starter no more.
No, not.
We got no one there. So if you push back D-line, you're waiting to the 3rd round, and that's not if you. That's if they don't trade back. So
yeah, because let's talk about the D-line depth. Montravis Adams, he's been a fine fill-in, especially when he first came in. But he's a fine, rotational piece. But he's primarily a backup now. Dean Lowry, primarily a backup right now with where he is. DeMarvin Leal, there is a lot of uncertainty still with him. He's coming into his final year of his rookie contract. He was a former 3rd-round pick 3 years ago, the year we took Kenny Pickett in the 1st round, right? There's uncertainty with him, and his durability has not lived up. It hasn't been reliable. So do we really go with Leal? Do we really go with the chance of Leal? I don't think so.
no, I don't think so either.
Loudermilk?
No, hard pass. Sterling with another 499. Appreciate you, man. Says Dion also wants him to go to a team with a stable front office. He does.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned that. He doesn't want his team to go to a franchise that is just going to be in the same draft position every single year. At least
Like the Browns.
in the bottom half.
Like the Browns.
Like the Browns. Or maybe the Giants.
Yeah.
Maybe the Saints, because listen, the Saints have a lot.
Yeah.
They-
I know. Yeah.
they
Kellen Moore's got a lot of work to do.
They need everything.
They got a lot of work to do.
They need literally everything.
Yeah.
Chris Olave can't stay healthy. Alvin Kamara's getting old. They have no quarterback. They have no one on the defense of any substantial
Not anymore.
significance. Cam Jordan's getting up there. They need a lot. So do they even go quarterback?
Again, like if the Browns and Giants again don't take quarterback at 2 and 3, number 9 pick is something that especially us Steelers fans, they're going to be having a keen eye on that pick for New Orleans.
We've got 2 words for
AD, not that AD. Aaron Derrick with a 3. Appreciate you, man. Showing my support. Love the channel and content. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Shout out
man.
to all you guys in the chat joining us late on this Friday night. 13 nights away until the NFL draft. Cannot wait, man. Cannot wait. Let's see. Tony Daniel says, I say we get Deion Walker in the 2nd or 3rd with a trade back. I like that option. I think he's a bit of a project, but I like his big frame. I like his intensity at the line. I think we can work with him.
He's got the size for sure that Tomlin loves and just would adore, especially when it comes to a defensive lineman. There are some kinks that he's going to have to work on, especially with his hustle and motor and whatnot. But he's got the tools, and Carl Dunbar, he's still around as our defensive line coach. I'm glad that the Steelers kept him around because he's been a very good D-line coach for a number of years now. So having Dunbar maybe work with a guy like Walker, there could be something there because Walker, again, he does have the tools.
Right. Going on, let's see. R. Barley 18 says Caldwell West and Stackhouse all are big upgrades on Monty Adams off of size alone. I agree. I really want Jamari Caldwell. I really do. In the 3rd or 4th, I love it. CJ West is mad underrated. I know he's a little undersized. He's mad underrated.
From Indiana. Yeah, he's very good.
Mad underrated. Love him too.
He's
man.
a guy that's been rising his draft stock too.
So yeah, if they want to go D-line later, they could, because at the end of the day, Hayward's still going to be here for the next probably 2 years. You can move Benton to 3-tech finally where he should have been day 1 as the new Tuitt or the new Hargrave, and all you need is a nose. So they could wait. They could wait to take D-line. They could. But my preference is you also want to replace Hayward. Like a Derek Harmon would be perfect.
Yeah.
Harmon would be a perfect. And then you want to draft a nose and double dip later on. You could build that guy to be the future nose. if you wanted to.
Yeah, you really could do it. Because, again, defensive line is stacked. But Steelers, again, going back to the Sanders talk, would one of the reasons be that they don't want to look at their options at quarterback for next offseason?
Why not?
Just to fill the position, considering that A-Rod still hasn't let him know what's going on, if he's going to come with the team, and the fact that, hey, you know, quarterback is still a need.
I don't think they're pressured about Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they're worried about Aaron Rodgers. I think they got him in the bag.
Well, Art Rooney already said, you know, like, we're not going to wait forever, but we'll wait a little longer. Because, I mean, like, I think...
Well, what's a little longer?
I don't know, but I think the report came out saying, you know, the Steelers are very confident about A-Rod coming to the team.
Where else is he going to go?
Just a matter of time.
He ain't going to the Saints.
He wants... Deep down, I think A-Rod wants to go to the Vikings because of what Kevin O'Connell has done with quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. But it's just a matter of, like, do the Vikings feel the same? Do they want A-Rod?
Right.
I think A-Rod's still kind of waiting out a little bit. My gut feeling is A-Rod's still waiting out on the Vikings' word. But the Vikings, I mean, they drafted J.J. McCarthy in the first round last year. I think they're just going to run with him.
Right.
So A-Rod just needs to be like, okay, I'll be a Steeler.
Well, listen, you don't go work out with DK Metcalf and not make up your mind. What's the wait for?
Well, he still hasn't made up his mind.
You weren't at the big night at show, so what's the wait?
Is he still on that darkness retreat or whatever?
Bro, I'm not. Yeah, at this point, I don't care. Fuck him. At this point,
well, because
I'm gonna ignore his name.
Well, listen,
until he finally makes a move.
Listen, despite if the Steelers feel they have A-Rod in the bag or not, most likely they do. Whether A-Rod gives them the word before the draft or after the draft, I'm trying to think of what the Steelers may be thinking here, so I'm just throwing that out. Do the Steelers take Sanders if he falls, just so that they don't have to deal with the quarterback hustle or having to look at the quarterback position next offseason? Though the quarterback class next offseason in the draft is a lot more, you know, higher pedigree and more potential.
Could be.
And a little bit better. It has the potential to be better than this draft class.
Could be. Still to be determined, plus all the comp picks they're going to have. They could... That's the theory going around. Is they're going to trade up and use those comp picks plus other capital, obviously, to trade up.
But do the Steelers want to go through that again?
Well, what position are you going to put on the back burner?
We're talking either defensive line or even running back.
Or corner, maybe. Because they brought in some of the top corners.
Yeah.
They brought in Amos from Ole Miss. They went to the Notre Dame Pro Day. Ben Morrison wasn't running. I think he's going to run in the next couple of days, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, he's still healing from that.
I think he's having private workouts or whatever. But I'm sure, I mean, based on his tape before he got hurt, he should be someone of interest.
Yeah.
I would think so. I'd hope so.
So what are the Steelers' plan if they take quarterback? What's their plan for putting position on the back burner? What's their plan from that point on?
I have no clue.
That's what the Steelers got to figure out.
I have no clue.
Because if they are seriously considering Sanders at 21 if he falls, then what is your plan for D-line, despite how stacked it is? What's your plan for running back, despite how stacked it is? What's your plan for wide receiver depth? What's your plan for cornerback depth or defensive back depth in general?
What you're trying to say is we don't have enough picks to fix everything.
No.
And inevitably, you're not going to fix everything.
No.
That's impossible. You're not going to fix everything. But you can fix as many of the holes as you can with the picks you got and fulfill some of the depth. That way you have most of it cleared to make the move next year for a quarterback.
Or they could trade back. If a team is willing to trade up, they could trade back, get extra capital back, preferably a second-round pick, and then that would make it more easier to address yet another position that you didn't have at the time.
That's the preferred method.
But if they take quarterback and don't trade back, and then all the other positions that I just stated earlier, they're put on the back burner.
Right.
So what's the plan there?
Good.
Trying to think what the Steelers are thinking, man. Again, you know, like really trying to weigh the options here, just really trying to figure out what's going on here because, you know, like that does concern me a little bit.
I agree.
I just throw it out there because that concerns me for the future of certain positions, all for one position and one player that has the talent and has the potential, but is a huge gamble because of the fact that the Steelers right now don't know what they're doing at quarterback.
Right.
They kind of they really butchered the quarterback position.
Right. You know, you look at who they brought in for top 30 visits, right? They brought in Shuck. They brought in Dart. They brought in Sanders. They're bringing in Kyle McCord next week. I would imagine they're going to bring in Milroe and or Howard in the next couple of days. How wouldn't they? I would think if the Steelers are going to draft a quarterback, it's someone that Tomlin and Khan and everyone have seen in person, which are only 3 guys. That's Will Howard, Jalen Murrow, and hilariously, Riley Leonard. I don't want Riley Leonard. I don't want Murrow either. But
Riley, I'm just going to say this. Riley Leonard is Team Tebow.
he's Daniel Jones. Hard pass. Hard pass.
Both are awful.
But what I'm saying is, if they're going to draft someone, I thought that they would draft someone that the top guys saw in person rather than just a sole scout.
Yeah.
Like a Kelvin Fisher in regards to Shedeur Sanders or Andy Waddle in regards to Jackson Dart. Now, granted, Andy Waddle has a lot of say in the front office, but throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I figured they want some of the higher pieces on field to see the quarterback in person, to make a move for that guy.
Yeah.
Like a Will Howard, preferably, out of the 3 guys. But, you also look at, they drafted Troy Fautanu last year in the first round, and no one except Pat Meyer was at the pro day, and they still selected him. So maybe I should just throw that theory out the window. Maybe I'm relying on that theory too much because it is in regards to the quarterback situation, because it's the quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yes. Again, man, I don't know.
Or maybe they're bringing in these guys to start circulating trade talks because they know they don't have a second, and they're going to look for anyone possible to take a second out of them.
Yeah, smokescreen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, very possible.
They don't really do it. They haven't really done it in a while. I don't even know. It's absolutely a mind game from any NFL front office. Everyone does it.
Mm-hmm.
They may not execute it, but it's absolutely a method to their madness with every front office. Maybe that's the Steelers' option here.
Could be. But again, the Steelers are very well. They're one of the teams that, like when they love a player, when they love a prospect, it's the worst kept secret.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows, like, okay, you love that guy. So
Tony Daniel, love the comment. Says Merrill couldn't hit the ocean if he was standing on the shoreline. Merrill's not good. Merrill's not good.
Not a good passer.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
Not even a little bit. I wouldn't mind him day 3, but it would have to be the 5th round. Even then, I would prefer like a Will Howard.
I got a day 3 grade on him.
I'll tell you guys right now, man. I mean, we watch film on every quarterback that the Steelers have met with, that they've shown interest in, or any of the big real names, right? We watch film on all Sanders, Dart, Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Murrow, Tyler Shook.
Yes.
We watch film on all of them. There's only 2 guys that pop off to me that I really like, that we really like. That's Shook and Howard.
Pretty much.
That's it. That's just, they're not franchise guys by any chance. They're not. But they're going to be very quality backups for a long time.
No, but looking at the tape, those were the prospects that I was looking at. I'm like, wow, like that was a good play there. Like, wow, look at that. Everybody else, like there's glimpses of it. But many are very inconsistent. But some of the tape for the other prospects just didn't wow me.
No.
Darty's getting first round talk. I didn't see that first round play style. I didn't see that wow moment.
No, like
Sanders, I didn't see that wow moment.
No. Well, I ain't gonna lie. There was a couple throws that wowed me with Sanders. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I feel a little different.
The one touchdown he threw to Webster and against UCF, pretty impressive.
That was a good throw.
Pretty impressive.
I feel like he needs to be a little more consistent about that.
No, I agree. Listen, I'm not saying.
No, I get that. I'm just
letting you know from what I saw. I did find that to be like, okay, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But most of the quarterbacks, I didn't find myself really enjoying the film and being blown away by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like Murrow, God Almighty, there's a lot of work. Quinn Ewers, maybe I'm too harsh. I see too much Kenny in him.
Oh.
Maybe I'm too harsh. I think he stares down receivers too much. I think he's too jittery in the pocket. I think he makes bad decisions. Not a complete fan of Ewers. I'm not.
No.
Riley Leonard, and he's just Daniel Jones.
Speaking of
Enough
staring down
said.
receivers too much, I find that as one of the problems with Sanders as well. Just throwing it out there.
Okay.
I think he does it a little too often. I think he needs to learn that, keeping his eyes moving and scanning the field. Just throwing it out there.
I think he processed the field pretty well, actually.
All right, that's how you feel. That's fine.
Now, granted, you might have watched different film than I have. I don't watch every single game yet.
Yeah.
You may have watched a couple games different than I have, but those are
Just from the film I've seen. Yeah.
right. Those are just quick thoughts on the quarterback class. I didn't really find much of the quarterback class to be wow. We got to get this guy. No, I'm not. That's why I'm really hell bent on not taking quarterback until day 3. Well,
There's a reason why many people said this quarterback class isn't exactly as stellar.
it's not. It's like 2022, but better. Because I think you're going to find a lot of really good long-term backups in this draft class.
Yeah.
Like Howard, like Shook, like a Max Brosmer later on, in our opinion.
Like Kyle McCord, he's got
Kyle
the
McCord
capability
will
of being a
be-
good backup. Yeah.
Yeah. Jalen Murrow, if he can get the throwing mechanics down, maybe.
Yeah. Or even just using certain packages with his athleticism.
It's gonna take a lot of work with him.
Yeah.
It really is. But otherwise, yeah. I don't know if Howard's gonna be there in the 3rd. Maybe. I'd hope so.
Mhm.
If that's the case, I think he's the 4th round pick. Shook, I know he's getting a lot of day 2 talks, maybe early day 2 talks.
Yeah.
So I know he's a little older and he has a lot of lack of experience in college due to so many injuries, especially at Texas Tech.
Yep.
So only 1 full season of production, but pretty good stuff. I like the way he scans the field. I like the way he throws the ball. He's not afraid to give receivers chances. He puts the ball in good placement for the receiver. He pretty much leads the receiver open.
Yeah, he just goes out there and just has a I got nothing to lose mindset.
Yeah.
Kind of reminiscent of Mason Rudolph a little bit. Just goes out there and slings it and does what he needs to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, if there's 2 guys I'd like us to draft, preferably just based on our own viewing, it's those 2. But I wouldn't hate a Kyle McCord in the 4th or 5th round. I do like McCord. I wouldn't hate Sanders in the 1st. I have preferences, but I'm not going to entirely hate on the selection.
Yeah.
It's just quarterback this year is not the year to take the quarterback. Quarterback is not the position for this year. It's not in our opinion.
Not in the first round. Not within the first 2 days.
Not with the limited picks we have. Unless they trade back, then by all means, we got some freedom here. We only got 6 picks.
Yeah.
6 picks. We got some holes. We got some depth issues. Not enough picks to clear it all. So is it really worth going after the quarterback this year? I know they got I know people are going to say, well, we got comp picks to fulfill all those holes for next year. You're right, but I think the classes speak for itself in those positions. I think the value in those positions are greater this year with what they have and what is needed now.
Yeah.
We'll see what the Steelers do.
I mean, the Steelers, they're doing their homework. They're still going to be doing their homework. I mean, that's very evident about, the Sanders visit and the interest there.
What I'm interested in, it kind of concerns me a little bit. They've only brought in 1 first-round defensive lineman, Derek Harmon. They didn't bring in Nolan.
So far.
They brought in Nolan's teammate, J.J. Pegues, but they didn't bring in Nolan. They didn't bring in Kenneth Grant, and they love their Michigan Wolverines. They drafted Bush. They drafted Roman Wilson, right?
Now, they did miss the Michigan Pro Day.
For Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, they did. Yeah, that pissed me off.
Yeah, me too.
That pissed me off.
Yeah, me too. Aaron Rodgers. Super Bowl.
Yeah, still waiting.
Still waiting. But they missed the Michigan Pro Day for him. But again, they didn't go to Derek Harmon's Pro Day. They still brought him in for top 30 visits.
That they did, yeah.
They didn't go to Ole Miss's Pro Day. They only sent Andy Waddle, Ike Taylor, and I think a scout, I believe.
Was it Colbert? Dan Colbert?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, it was. I think it was Dan Colbert, yes. So.
And see, because the Steelers, they have 3 more top 30 visits to do.
That's it?
3 more, yeah.
3?
Yep. 3 more.
Ooh, they got to pick wisely. Because I swear to God, I thought Egbuka would be one. He's not. He could be, but he's not.
Now, the receivers they've looked at is Jalen Knoll from Iowa State, Savion Williams from TCU, Jaden Higgins from Iowa State, who's now getting first-round talks. Not surprised by that.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Matthew Golden from Texas.
Yeah, all really. I love all those options. I love all those options. But you're talking like guys in the first 2 days.
Yeah.
They're going to go receiver in the first 2 days?
Don't have a second round pick, so I don't know.
And they still need a running back to pair with Warren.
That they do.
And they've
They've looked at running backs. I mean, like,
but they haven't met with, the Buckeye guys.
no, not yet.
Now, granted, they're going to go around too, and they don't. But you figure they bring in, they're going to bring in a guy like Sanders. You might want to bring in the round 2 running backs in case you want to trade back.
Well, looking at the running backs here, they brought in DJ Giddens, Kansas State. They brought in Omarion Hampton, first round running back from North Carolina. Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. I can't pronounce this man's first name. Tutton from Virginia Tech, the speedster.
Bishal Tootin.
Yeah, Tootin. There you go.
Bishal Tootin.
Bishal Tootin, thank you, from Virginia Tech. Ollie Golden from Oklahoma State. I'm good on him. Jaden Blue, Texas. Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Love Caleb Johnson.
Yeah.
And RJ Harvey from UCF. So those are the running backs that they have brought in.
Some pretty good options.
So, they could bring in one more. They could bring in a Henderson. They could bring in a Judkins. They could still do that.
Well, because you said they only got 3. So I thought Egbu could be one. He's not. I thought they'd bring in at least one of the Buckeye backs. They haven't. I thought they'd bring in Will Howard. They haven't. They didn't bring in Jalen Miro just based on interest. They didn't bring in Grant, Nolan. They got to pick wisely here.
Yeah, they do.
Now, for those that are panicking, keep in mind, Troy Futanu didn't get brought in for a top 30 visit until the 15th last year, and then they select him in the first round 10 days later. So,
not only that, but same thing happened with Project Jones.
yes.
I think it was the week before the draft, and they were traded up to get him.
Yes.
So, there's no need to panic, not yet. They have very limited top 30 visits now. They only have 3 to do so, but I mean, like, they're weighing their options, but they have met with certain candidates from the pro days, from the combines, top 30 visits and whatnot.
Yeah. Do you guys think the NFL should extend the number of quarterbacks that can be on a roster? No, I think 3 is fine. I think 3 is fine. Knight Rider says, just draft the fastest running back left in round 3. That might be Giddens or Jadon Blue. I don't think Blue's a 3rd rounder, but maybe they take him round 3. If you want speed, he's got speed. He's got a lot of speed.
Yeah, he does.
He's got a hell of receiving upside.
Big time.
I do like blue. I do. My favorite color.
Okay.
But at the same time,
I like red.
I know. At the same time, I think we need someone to lead the backfield. Not saying Warren can't do it, but you also got to make sure, what if he can't? You want someone that could.
Yeah. I mean, the Steelers are weighing their options. They're looking at every possible way. Maybe they think highly of Warren more than most people do.
Right.
I mean, Warren, I remember, 2 seasons ago, Warren had 3 games straight of over 100 rushing yards.
Yeah,
that was even splitting carries with Najee.
He outdid himself every single game that year, yeah.
Yeah, he was actually the diamond of the rough of that offense that year. I remember that.
He was the offense until Mason came in.
Yeah. I mean, Warren's a dog. He's a very good back.
Yeah, I think
Is he capable of being a lead back? Maybe the Steelers want to see that out of him.
We'll see. I think what favored him a lot was his unpredictability on the field. You just didn't know where he was going to be used.
Yeah.
He's got 3-down potential. He can do everything you ask him to. The only issue he has is his injuries and his fumbling problem.
That of course, yeah.
That's really the biggest issue. If he can stay healthy, if he can work on his ball security, maybe he can lead the backfield. And maybe they can push running back later and get like a Tutton from Virginia Tech to be that change of pace guy, kind of similar with 3-down potential. He too needs to work on his fumbles.
He has
man.
serious fumbling issues.
My biggest, whoa, let me not touch that about Tutton.
Now, I will say, when it comes to Eddie Faulkner, our running backs coach, he's done a great job at making sure that the running backs keep a hold of that football and they hold it tightly.
Yeah.
He's very adamant about that, and so is Tomlin, but especially Eddie Faulkner. He's been a great running backs coach for quite some time
Well,
now.
you see his drills that he does, especially when it's wet out. It's really helpful.
It's like when a fumble happens, there's actually pictures of a running back holding on to the ball all day.
Yep.
Like, you tuck that ball and you keep a hold of it because you need to learn to hold on to the ball.
That's discipline right there.
That's great. That's what I love.
Do you guys think both Buckeye backs will be gone before our 3rd? Yes, I do. If
There's no way one falls to the 3rd.
Well, hold on. Peyton Wilson fell to the 3rd last year.
Yeah, sure.
Because of injuries.
So are you saying that Henderson could fall?
Listen, I'm just saying this is my darkest craziest.
If Henderson falls, man, holy.
This is my wildest dream.
Yo,
come
man.
day 2.
All right.
I'm telling you right now. These are things I'm thinking about as the draft creeps up. Is hey, what if Henderson falls to the 3rd? Listen, this is all wishful thinking, but what if it happens? Crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
Players have dropped for no reason, or for other reasons before.
Yeah. Maybe teams think highly more of, I don't know, a Caleb Johnson
Well,
more
look-
than a Henderson.
Look at Darnell Washington. He was getting second round talks. And then I think injury concerns may have tossed him down. And we got him at 90,
knee issues, knee injury or whatnot, or a knee injury history. And then Washington said, no, my knee's fine. My knee's good.
and we got him at 93.
Yeah. And we traded back. Keep it that. keep
Same
that in
thing.
mind.
Same thing with Fatanu. The only thing is he actually got hurt. And hopefully he doesn't get hurt again.
Yeah, and of course Peyton Wilson, his injury worrisome.
And he had
from
one of
college.
the best seasons of any of our rookies, or I'd say any of our players last year.
Yeah, and I'm excited for his progression, his future.
I'm very excited for Peyton.
So
Wilson.
it's like, hey, it's a huge possibility it could very well happen. And of course, when it comes to injury concerns with said players coming out of college, that doesn't seem to sway Omar Khan away. It doesn't.
no.
It doesn't. Because he saw the talent from Fatanu. He saw the talent from Washington. He saw the talent from Wilson, right? Like, he sees the talent. And again, talent trumps all.
Yeah. Tony Daniel doesn't think Marion Hampton is getting past 13. Who has the 13th pick? The Dolphins. Well, listen, we know Marion Hampton's probably going to be a Raider. Not a Marion Hampton. I'm sorry, Ashton Genty.
Ashton Genty.
Excuse me. Boise State. I think everyone agrees Genty is going to be a Raider. I mean, I just don't see what team is going to take a running back. I don't. I don't see the Patriots going running back. They need receiver.
Another
need
team that needs running back is Dallas.
Yeah,
They need a running back.
100%.
I know they have Javonte Williams, and they brought in another back. I can't remember who, but they paired another back with him. But he's not number
Wasn't
one.
it Miles Sanders?
It was Miles Sanders. Yeah.
Yeah, Marion Hampton. Welcome to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I don't think either top 2 backs will be at the Steelers pick.
Denver? I could see it.
Yeah, I mean,
I could definitely see
Yeah.
it. Who's their running back?
that's a great question.
Who's their running? They got rid of Javonte. Did
No,
they sign somebody?
they got the rookie from last year, Esteem
McLaughlin?
from Notre Dame.
Oh, I thought.
Oh,
you were talking about
McLaughlin. Was he a rookie?
I don't know.
Let me check.
I'm not a Broncos.
I-
I don't know
I
this
don't know.
information. Call me a casual. I don't know this information.
Hold on.
I just know names.
Well, they had McLaughlin came up big last year.
Donovan, what's popping, man? How you doing?
No, he was a rookie in 2023. He was undrafted.
Imagine the Steelers taking another tackle in the first. Dude, I will fume to maximum levels. You thought Kenny Pickett ticked me off. Dude, if we go tackle again, the only thing that can make that make sense is if we move Fatanu to the left guard. But why would you do that?
You still have Sayamalu. They haven't cut him.
Why would you do that?
They're not going to because he's the veteran of the line. They're not going to cut Sayamalu.
Nothing makes sense to go tackle again. If we take a tackle, then they should trade Broderick because that means they have no faith in them. Yeah, clearly. Get whatever you can salvage out of him. Maybe we can get the 4th round pick back that we used to trade up to get him. I think that's all he's worth at this point, if we're lucky. And watch him be an all-pro for that team.
Well, Kevin Dotson left, and he sure as hell became one. He got the bag. He's a standout for the Rams.
Yeah. I don't think
Matt Stafford feels confident behind Kevin Dotson, and why wouldn't he? Kevin Dotson's a very fit man. He's a very big man.
he's a right guard.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Putting players where they should be. What a concept. Who would have thought?
Gee, man, I don't know, man.
How did they do that, but we can't?
I'm just glad that Zach Frazier's actually center.
Imagine him being they might put him at right tackle. Man.
No.
Listen, I'm just saying. They might put him at right
No,
tackle.
no, that's my center. By the way, I still have the sign from last year.
Yeah.
The draft a center sign when we selected Frazier. When we marked the hell out.
You bent the shit out of it. Yeah, you still got
I thought it would break.
It's in
And
storage.
it didn't break. We still have
I think all of our signs that we've ever had are still here. Except
we have not thrown either sign away.
well, no, we threw away the Bench Wallace one.
We threw that away. Yeah, he was bad. No, I don't think we have the Ayuk sign anymore.
Oh yeah, that was pointless.
Yeah, we don't have no more.
I forgot about that one.
We still got the Fire Tomlin on reserve, though that's probably never happening.
That's never gonna happen. It's just on reserve.
We still have it on reserve.
What else do we have? We got the fire Canada or blame Canada. Up
Yeah,
there.
it's still like way up there. You guys can't see it. It's off camera. But
What
it's
if
still way
Dan?
up there rolled up?
What if Dan Moore balls out? Hey, good for Cam Ward. Good for Cam Ward. Listen. I wish him all the success because we're getting a third rounder out of him next year. Man, I'm already happy.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I really wouldn't be.
If Dan Moore balls out, bro, everyone on that coaching staff needs to be terminated. Because if you're telling
Why
me,
haven't they already?
I don't know. But if you're telling me Dan Moore balls out with the Titans, the Titans of all teams, that goes to show you the difference between coaching, bro. If the Titans can get something right, we got no hope.
Pat Meyer's still here.
Sure is. Listen, all we can hope for is that this will be his last year as the O-line coach.
Yeah, that contract will expire, and they will look somewhere else. I don't know who.
What's Bill Callahan up to? What's he up to?
I don't know.
He's the offensive line coach for the Titans. How fitting is that?
Dan Moore, welcome to the Pro Bowl. You going to the Pro Bowl, bro?
Bill Callahan is going to coach up Dan Moore to be an All-Pro. Wow. Listen, I didn't even know that. I wanted us to get Bill Callahan as the O-line coach because he has such a great resume, and there he is with the Titans.
Yeah,
How funny is that?
Titans know ball to a degree.
Well, they're going to draft Cam Ward inevitably. They're not going to, but they're going to waste 9 minutes on the clock for it to happen.
Sure.
Like they didn't know what they could. If they could right now, they'd make the pick. They already know. I don't know who the GM is over there, but if I had personal contact with him, like if I knew him personally and I asked him, who you taking? Oh, Cam Ward.
I mean,
Like behind closed doors, no cameras, no audio, no nothing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, his professional answer is, oh, we're going to keep all options on the table. Like we don't know who you're taking.
Yeah, seriously.
I know you can't say it. Well, you can, I guess.
It's a kid from Miami. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Best quarterback in the draft class. Come on.
Yeah, best quarterback. Who do you guys think is the best player in the entire draft? I think it's Hunter.
Yeah.
I think it's Travis Hunter.
He's a baller.
He's gonna be a superstar. He's gonna be an absolute stud, man. We have to trade back for that second day 2 pick, says Jay Knudsen. Or Knudsen. Yeah, I mean, that's what I secretly want. I want us to trade back. I want us to trade back from 21. And if we can still get like a Grant, a Harmon, or a Nolan, home run.
Yes.
And then get like a second round pick back. Trade partners include the Bills, Texans, Packers, maybe. Oh, they're 2 picks ahead of us. So how much would they realistically trade?
Right.
And I think the Chiefs are an option.
Chiefs are an option because I know they have another second round pick close to their original one.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So the Chiefs, I know like trading up or trading back to the Chiefs and the Chiefs trading up. I know you don't want to really make the Chiefs stronger, but if you're willing to if you're able to take a second round pick away from them, I mean, like, I'm all for it.
Do you think the Lions could trade up?
It's possible. I think the Commanders could be a sleeper team that could trade up.
I could see it too.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't think we trade back. But I would love it.
It's weird looking at the top 30 visits. Like, it's a lot of day two talent.
There is. Like Higgins, if he falls out of day 1, that's a day 2 guy. Savion Williams, day 2. Jalen Noel, day 2. You look at Caleb Johnson, day 2. You look at DJ Giddens, day 2.
Yeah, because I got this, I guess this tracker here right now. Like, you look at the candidates, like, the majority of them, it's like it's a lot of day 2 and day 3 picks that they have the interest in.
Even Trey Amos from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He should be drafted in the first round, in my opinion, but could fall in the day 2. Azarie Thomas from Florida State.
Yep.
Probably going to be day 2. So I'm not, listen, all I'm saying is, like, signs are indicating that trade back might be more of a possibility than we want to think, than what we want to admit. I don't think it happens, but maybe they're really contemplating it. Maybe they already know that they are going to trade back, and get what they can, and that's why they're interviewing a bunch of these guys now, and a bunch of guys are going to go within that range. I don't know much about Sanders, but I have a hard time not seeing Deion Sanders' son not being good in the NFL. Listen, it's Deion Sanders' kid. He's got the DNA. He's got the pedigree, right? He has to. And that's a lot of weight on his shoulders being his son. But I think he's going to set him up. I think he inhabits a similar mindset and a similar way he carries himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be a solid guy. I really think Sanders is going to be a very quality, very good quarterback in the NFL. I just question, is he going to elevate a team to the game-changing level, to where they want to go? What's that ultimate goal, which is obviously a playoff run leading to a Super Bowl?
Of course.
Can he elevate a team that high?
Those are the concerns. And those are rightful concerns to have.
I know. That's my issue with Sanders is I don't compare him to Brock Purdy because I don't think they're the same player.
Yeah.
But in the way that Brock Purdy was molded with the Niners and the talent he has around him and how Brock Purdy leads that team, similar.
We've got
Right.
2 words for you.
Taylor Lee with a 199. He says, remember, Tomlin loves pedigree guys.
He loves the bloodlines. He loves the bloodlines. That's why I think if he's there, I think he is the pick.
I will not be surprised one bit.
Look at it this way. If Sanders is there at 21, you're telling me Mike Tomlin isn't taking Deion Sanders' son?
Yeah, Tomlin's not saying no to that.
No, he's not.
He probably has that man's number on speed dial just in case. As soon as they're on the clock and if Shedor's there, Tomlin will make that call.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that if Sanders is on the board. I will not be surprised.
13 nights from now, if Shedeur Sanders is on the clock or is on the board and the Steelers are on the clock at pick 21, he's the next Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah.
100% in my opinion.
I would not hate it entirely. I wouldn't. He just would not be my first option.
Yeah, he's not my first option, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is a trash pick. It's not going to be a trash pick. I don't think Sanders is going to be a trash quarterback. I think he's going to be very good. I just don't know if he takes us to where we need to be. I think he'd keep us right where the Steelers have been for so many years when we need someone that's going to take us past that.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Like I think Sanders is going to be very good and him being the starter, I think he's going to keep the Steelers good. But is good enough?
That's up to Sanders to really take his style and his game to the next level. That's up to Sanders to really push himself further.
Sure.
Considering the name that he's carrying. And again, that's a lot of pressure on him. You're carrying a legacy. You're carrying a last name.
It also matters about coaching. Coaching matters. You're only as good as coaching.
That matters just as much.
Believe me, the Steelers and coaching has been probably one of the biggest reasons why they've been where they've been for so many years. It's been coaching.
Yes.
It's been the scheme. It's been the approach. It's been how they've been stabilized for so many years. You're only as good as coaching. So a lot comes into play. A lot comes into play there.
Yeah.
I just prefer D-line, guys. I do. Y'all can have your own personal opinions. Hey, that's fine, man. If y'all want Sanders, listen, if y'all want Sanders, that's fine. That's your opinion. I just don't want to go quarterback this year. I don't think quarterback is the pick to go for in the first round this year.
Yeah.
Not until day 3. Been saying it all offseason, not changing my opinion. Not even with Sanders.
Nope. I'm in the same boat, but if Sanders were to fall and if he's the pick, again, I wouldn't be surprised. But Sanders, though the talent is there, again, there are some things that he is going to have to work on.
Thomas Breeze, Sanders' dad, did wear number 21. Crazy if he's the 21st pick. That is...
Jeez, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
That just blew my mind.
Oh, there you go. I mean, like, it's
That's
written in the
official.
stars. There you go.
The Illuminati has
Thomas,
been-
man. He ruined the script. He spoiled the script.
Listen. I can't lie. That sounds like legacy, doesn't it? That's crazy. I never combined the two. At the end of the day, though, I don't think Sanders gets there. I don't think Sanders lasts. I don't. Whether the Saints take him, whether the Giants, the Raiders, the Colts potentially take him. Maybe the Browns trade back up and take him after taking Hunter or Carter, where whoever's on the board. I don't think Sanders is going to be there.
Yeah.
We've got 2 words for you.
Surely with a 499, if Sanders works out next year's picks to get Jeremiah Smith, bro. Okay, so what does that mean for Pickens? Is he going?
Maybe with his attitude, potentially. I don't know. Then again, like, what does Roman Wilson bring to the table if he stays healthy?
I don't know. We don't
What's
know.
the future for Calvin Austin?
See, Calvin's tricky with me.
I know.
I want to keep Calvin, but I think he's going to get himself a solid contract that I don't think the Steelers are going to pay. I think Calvin's going to get anywhere between 10 to 12. I don't know if the Steelers are going to pay that up for someone like Calvin. So I'm going into this year thinking this is Calvin's last year. Maybe maybe they draft or pick up a guy like Jimmy Horn to replace a Calvin.
They could do that. A Ricky White, maybe.
Ricky White isn't as fast.
Not as fast, but underrated receiving ability.
I agree.
Yeah. And a special teams demon at that. Just throwing it out there.
Well, that's interesting. Listen, the wide receiver position is also one we can't sleep on because they've looked at a lot of day 2 talent. They brought in Matthew Golden of all people. Maybe they bring in Egbuka from one of their last 3 visits. I want to roll out receiver. We don't know what the future holds for Pickens, and maybe they want to continue to stack the receiving core for whoever the quarterback's going to be. Can't fault them for that.
Nope.
That's why we say we can't roll anything out, guys. They could go anywhere. They've covered all their bases. All their bases. They brought in 2 potential first-round quarterbacks. They brought in a first-round running back in Hampton, a first-round receiver in Golden, a first-round defensive lineman in Harmon. I'm not forgetting anyone else. A first-round safety
Yes.
in Emin Worry.
Yeah.
from
And
North Carolina.
they've really looked at safety.
They have. They have. Safety is my dark horse for like an early option. Who that is, maybe Makuba from Texas. I love Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State. I know he only played 2 games last year. I think he's an excellent safety.
Mm-hmm.
Giving him time, play as a depth piece, build himself up. I think he'd be a nice, solid pick. If he could fall into day 3, I think that's a potential steal. Almost like another Eddie Jackson in a sense. You know what the Bears got out of Eddie Jackson?
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Something like that. But Xavier Watts, I'm not saying he's gonna be a Steeler, but they sent the house to the Notre Dame Pro Day.
Yep. Looking at him especially.
Like there's a lot of talent coming out of Notre Dame too,
Yes, there is.
especially on the defensive side of the football. Hint, hint. Just throwing it out there. That's why, man. We don't know, and the limited picks we have, they could go a position we're not even thinking of. They can go a position earlier than what we thought. Maybe they hold running back for a little bit. This draft, man, is going to be very unpredictable because they've covered all their bases. We don't know exactly where it's going to go. It all depends on who's on the board. Makes you wonder, maybe they do trade back because they've covered a lot of positions.
Again, like
And they can't fix everything.
There's so many paths, so many possibilities that the Steelers could take. They really could.
That's why 13 more long days.
Yes. We're getting closer, bro. We're almost there.
Smith would make Steelers Nation forget George Pickens' name. Dude, Jeremiah Smith could come into the draft now and be probably the first receiver off the board.
Yeah.
He had such an incredible freshman year, bro.
Yeah. I know.
Unbelievable.
This guy's a young stud already.
Yeah. I don't want to sleep on a Ryan Williams either the next couple of years from Alabama.
Yes.
He has drop issues, but he's also 17.
Yes,
17.
He is. Yes. Yes, he is.
He might come in younger than Juju did. Juju came in stupid young, 20 years old.
Yep.
Down with that. We've got
Knight
2
Rider.
words for you.
With a $10 super chat. Thanks, Knight Rider. He says, would you guys trade Minka if it got you a late 2nd round pick?
Yes. I'm not even thinking twice about it.
I would.
For his production, and he's only aging and his contract coming up, if you can get a 2nd round pick out of it, love you to death,
Now,
Minka.
now-
I'm very appreciative. But adios, amigo.
Now, would a team trade a second-round pick for Minka?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
But I'm basing it off of Night. I'm basing off of Night Rider's
off
question.
his question,
Yes.
yes.
Are you kidding me? Yes. And then I'm drafting safety with that pick or round 3.
Could do that, yeah.
Safety is like the safe. There's gonna be a ton of safeties to go come day 2.
Mhm.
There's a lot of good talent there.
Fall back on, yeah. If this were to be a possibility. I don't think it happens.
I
The
don't think it
Steelers
happens.
love Minka. Tomlin loves Minka. Terrell Austin loves Minka. I don't think it happens, but Minka, his production, it definitely needs to rack up. I would say a little bit. 1 turnover in 2 seasons compared to what he did earlier in his career. Now, that may not all be his fault. That might very well be coaching's fault and just the utilization of Minka, him playing single high safety too many times. I mean, he's playing way deep back there, and no one's going to throw down there and target him.
No, in the middle of the field is always open, and these corners can't.
So
cover
it's
at the line of
probably
scrimmage.
not. It's probably not all Minka's fault. We
No.
can't really put all the blame on Minka because, again, coaching absolutely matters. But Minka, what was it, like over $20 million the next 2 years?
Actually, $26 million next year as a cap hit. I'll get the
Jeez.
actual numbers for you
Jeez,
in a second.
$26 million. I don't know about that, man.
Maybe I'm paraphrasing. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. So this year, 22.355
That's still
million.
a lot. That's still a lot.
And 2026 is 24.5 million as a cap hit. And he's going to be 30 next year. Not this year, but next year.
That's a lot of money, dude. I figured they would have done some sort of a cap reduction.
They don't
or-
need to. They have enough cap space.
I know. But like that's still a boatload of money.
It is, but they're not scraping the bottom of the barrel like the old days for cap space.
No. Fair enough.
And they're going to honor Minka for what he's done and what we've been through before Minka. That's why I'm very appreciative of Minka. I love Minka to death. When his Steelers tenure goes, I'll be incredibly, upset that it's over because we've after Polamalu left.
Oh, forget about it, dude.
We
Oh,
we
my
witnessed
God.
some of the worst secondary play I can remember in my lifetime that I've seen ever. So getting Minka,
I'm getting flashbacks
I know.
right now. Oh,
so
my
getting
God.
Minka was a breath of fresh air, and he was beloved by everybody. He's not the same player, and again, that's not entirely his fault. They're not using him right. Terrell Austin doesn't use nobody right.
No.
Mike Tomlin doesn't use nobody right. He doesn't even move Watt and Highsmith opposite sides.
But I'm
He
always
doesn't blitz as much.
I'm always appreciative of what Minka still brings to the table and has brought to the table.
Lee, oh, bro, I was trying not to. I'm not trying to throw out any names here. Yeah, Mike Mitchell.
Yeah. The flashback I seen was the missed tackle on AJ Green back in the playoff game
Yes.
when Green caught that touchdown. from
Yeah,
McCarron.
fucking AJ McCarron throws it deep and caught it, and then
Mitch. He's like playing 2-hand touch.
Mike Mitchell is one of the worst tackling Steelers I've ever seen in my life. He can lay a hit. He can't tackle.
He would have his arms wrapped around him and like he would make the receiver look like the greased up deaf guy.
I know. Remember that poor tackle attempt he had on Mike Wallace's 95-yarder when he was a
he
Raven?
literally 2-hand touched him, and Wallace was like, "Man, get away from me."
Bro, I can remember this like
He
it
beat
was
him.
yesterday.
He beat him.
Like it was yesterday. It was bad. Then you had Shamarco Thomas. Then you had Will Allen. Then you had Sean Davis. Sean Davis didn't sign nowhere else after we cut him. What happened?
He came back as a backup. That's what happened.
Oh, wait, that did happen.
He came back as a backup, and then he got hurt, and that's why we traded for Minka. Thank God.
Sean Davis was so bad. So bad. What is he doing nowadays? What is not the soccer player?
Yeah, Sean Davis shoulder tackle. Yeah.
Sean Davis sucked. Holy hell, he sucked. He really sucked. Remember when we put Gronk on him all game?
Oh, jeez. I remember that game. Yeah, I do.
Okay, so after the Steelers, he went to the Washington football team. Then he came back here. Then he signed with the Colts. Then he went to the Bengals. Then went to the Patriots.
I don't remember any of this.
And then
as soon as he left, I was like, best of luck to you, but like,
Then he went to the Houston Roughnecks, and Lord knows what he's doing nowadays. Hope he's doing well. But on field, yeah, he was atrocious. He was so bad. He was so. You notice a lot of our picks, especially in the Colbert era. A lot of them didn't really mount to anything after they left the Steelers.
No.
Claypool, what the fuck is he doing? Terrell Edmonds, what the fuck is he doing? Sean Davis, what's he? The only one that lasted at everyone is Artie Burns because he's coming into his 10th year.
Is he still with Seattle?
I don't know where he's at, but I saw he got a contract this past offseason. He's with the Dolphins. Good for him.
Oh, he's with Miami. He came out of what was it? Was it Miami?
It was Miami, yeah.
Yeah. So he's back home.
Yeah.
Good for Artie, honestly. Good for Artie.
Mark Barron. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh God.
They could get Barron. You know what I mean?
Remember that whole dime packer project they tried for so many years?
Yeah.
They still are, but they really tried those linebacker safety mixes. Like
Dude.
Marcus Allen and Mark Barron and Morgan Burnett.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, that's another safety that really panned out well, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember Barron when he first got caught by I think it was the Rams. I looked at Dan, I said, bro, he's a Steeler.
You
First
did say
round
that.
pedigree, he was a player that Tom will like. I said immediately he's a Steeler.
The front office was so predictable. Now it's not. Thank you, Omar. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's nice to not know what we're going to have happen. The front office was so predictable. And in a ways, it is based on, Tomlin's tendencies and what he drafts. But at least now, like, I used to think, oh, we're not going to trade for that guy, and we trade for him.
Yeah.
I can't say we're not going to do something because then they do it. Like, oh, we're not going to trade for Fields. We trade for Fields.
Or the fact of the matter
we're not going to trade for DK.
the fact of the matter, they're in these discussions.
Yeah.
Like, they're involved.
And then
The Steelers would not even look that direction with Colbert.
no.
They would just be like, whatever.
They still got a lot of work to do to build a team, but at least, they're kind of
Their attitude,
active.
and what Khan brings is far different to what Colbert did.
Mhm.
It's better than what Colbert did.
Yeah. At least they're more active. Let's see. Where's the poll at, actually? 46% of you guys still think that he'll be drafted by the Saints. 39% say the Steelers. I do see him in black and gold somewhere. Get it?
Yes.
It's gonna be somewhere. I don't know if it's in the Saints' best interest to go quarterback, but granted, I mean, you can't tell that. You can't tell that to them.
But why is Tony and Daniel in the chat naming random ass defensive backs?
You want to keep going?
Well, he's mentioned Artie Burns. He's mentioned Antoine Blake.
Antoine Blake, Cortez Allen, Ross Cockrell, Doran Grant,
He mentioned Justin Gilbert.
Cody
Remember him?
Sensabaugh, Justin Gilbert,
You want to know a defensive back that many people forgot was a Steeler?
Brandon Boykin,
Not him. William Jackson III.
William Jackson III. Never played a snap for the
No,
Steelers.
the forgotten Steeler.
Never played a snap.
No.
Never played a snap.
Finally became a Steeler, never stepped foot on the field.
No.
Steven Nelson. He was solid.
Steven Nelson was good.
Nelson and Hayden were so solid.
Because
dude.
they were outside hires.
And they complement each other so well. They were a fine pairing, man.
Yeah, look what happens when we don't draft corners.
Yeah.
We go for outside hires.
Man, Nelson and Hayden, they didn't last as long as
It was only 2 years.
2 years. They didn't last as long as I would have hoped, but like they left such an impact.
Well, Nelson's exit was kind of weird too.
yeah. But it actually kind of, caught me off guard a little bit.
He had some animosity for some reason.
Yeah.
I forget the whole reason for it. It's irrelevant now. Why are Steelers fans nowadays so impatient? Can he let him sit, then 3 weeks later start like we Bucks as fans? Is that what you're saying? Or fucked as fans? I'm all for one sitting a quarterback, no matter who it is.
Mhm.
I think that needs to be modernized. I think that needs to be a trend. I think that needs to be a thing nowadays.
Yeah.
I think we need to start normalizing that.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Mark Barron got torched by Josh Gordon when we played him against the Patriots week 1, 2019. Was that week? Was he with the Patriots that time?
Josh Gordon?
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I know he was a Patriot. I don't remember when, though. Was that like the last bit of action he ever saw in the NFL?
I don't know. Wasn't he a Chief?
He was a Chief. And Josh Gordon, bro.
Yeah, he had three catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown on us. Week 1.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that was after the Patriots tied us for most championships.
Yeah, and the Steelers, man.
And we flopped.
The Steelers only got 3 points.
We flopped.
Yeah. That was bad.
We flopped heavy.
That game really pissed me off.
We flopped heavy.
That was an irritating watch to start the
Yeah.
season. Like they unveiled their 6th championship banner right in front of you. And you went out there with that performance. Like
Dante Moncrief had 4 drops. 3 catches in the game. 3 catches for 7 yards, 4 drops.
Dan, I try not to remember him, all right? Why'd you bring him up?
We're discussing bad Steelers right now.
He was a bad Steeler.
He was awful.
He was a very,
Remember,
very bad
we
Steeler.
signed that guy to replace AB for that game. That was that was a time. That was a time. Wow.
Yo!
Puts it in perspective a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Eric Ebron, he retired. He retired a couple months ago, actually.
Yeah. Now, Ebron was solid for the first, what was he here? 2 seasons?
2 seasons, but his was it 2020? He had a good year.
Yeah, he had a very good year, 2020, yeah.
He didn't have hands, but he had a good year that year. And then he played a couple games in 2021 and got hurt. We drafted what's his face? We drafted Muth. He was eventually the starter. Now still is a starter. Got paid last offseason.
Yep.
Good for Muth. Hopefully he can continue to step up because we need it.
Not just that, be utilized. Not get 3 catches a game for 17 yards.
Yeah, but also be a little more physical.
Yeah, that I agree. Muth needs to be more physical. You figure for a guy of his ability and his athleticism, really, he'd throw more physicality out there.
Well, for the tight end position.
Yeah.
I like Muth though. I think he's a reliable target. When we doing the fan mock draft, y'all said we were going to do that before the draft. I think y'all forgot. Now we didn't forget. That's going to be for draft week, guys. That's going to be for draft week. We're going to do that, I think, the Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday before, where we're going to put up a simulator, and then you guys are going to have the mock draft. It'll be your guys' mock to do.
Yeah.
It'll be that. We'll do that probably the night before the draft. So
Wednesday night.
The Wednesday before the draft.
Yeah.
It'll be like a final first round discussion or a final draft outlook. And then we'll bring the chat in, and then we'll have a whole final mock regarding the Steelers.
Yeah.
Maybe even a first round mock. See where that goes.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah. Sounds
See
like a
where that
plan.
goes.
Sounds like a plan.
See where that goes. Make it very interactive and very entertaining right before the draft. I think that'd be fun, man. I think that'd be great.
Kenny is the trashiest round 1 quarterback ever, talent-wise.
There's been some bad ones. There's been some really,
There's
really,
been some
really
horrible
bad
ones, yeah. Yeah, Kenny's up there. Yeah.
Kenny is up there. Kenny is definitely one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. 100%. One of the worst quarterbacks I have ever seen in my life.
You know, to this day, he is still spinning.
Sure is.
Still. He spun his way
On
into
Cleveland
Cleveland.
Brown, on Cleveland Brown Stadium or whatever it's called.
Yeah, he shook Stefanski's hand and he spun while doing it.
Sure did.
Crazy. He's good at that.
I just pray he starts one game against us. And I swear to God, if it's like a Ryan Mallett situation, rest in peace,
Oh no, man! Like
you will not hear the end of it.
no,
You will not hear the end of it.
no.
You will not, man. You will not. With that being said, it is 12:10, so happy Saturday. And it is April 12th, also known as 412.
Yes, sir.
On the calendar. So happy 412 day.
Yes, sir, man.
Happy 412 day, man. So with that being said, I think we're going to call it a stream, man. So appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. As always, glad to be back for the live. And you guys already know we're going to have more live streams coming, especially during draft week where it's going to be a lot of content coming out, very interactive. And, of course, the NFL draft live streams. Very, I can't wait for it. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very exciting. It's the one live stream or a couple live streams I look forward to the most, probably.
Yeah, big time.
I look forward to like the game day stuff, but like the draft is just fun because it's just watching it live and getting those reactions and being shocked by what they do. Like last year, I'll never forget when the Falcons took Penix.
Yeah.
And the whole chat went nuts. So this year, I can't wait for it.
Yeah, man. Like when it comes to the NFL draft, you know, crazy things happen. Trades could happen. Somebody could fall. Somebody could be taken a lot higher than they should. Honestly, you know, when it comes to the draft, it happens every single year. It's one of the most exciting times of the year for the offseason for NFL teams, of course.
Yep.
So I look forward to it. I'm excited.
I look forward to it as well, man. But next week, we will have our final mock draft. I'll be real with you. We haven't even started because there's so much thinking. Maybe we're overthinking it, but there's so much thinking to go into our final mock. It'll be out next Friday because obviously the next days after that is Easter
weekend.
So it'll be out on Good Friday. It'll be out on Good Friday. Plus, we'll have more draft discussions probably in regards to Derek Hardman and whoever else they bring in for top 30 visits. So keep a lookout for that. Otherwise, we're going to clock on out of here. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Another week of content in the books. This week was quarterback week. Next week, we'll see what they do. We'll see how they finalize, how they finish the top 30 visits. They got 3 more. Use them wisely, and I'm hoping they use that on some real first-round talent. D-line, receiver, maybe another running back, maybe in the second round. We'll see. We'll see what they do. It'll be very interesting. But check it on out. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good weekend, and see you next week for more content, and see you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers, at the end of the day, man.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Peace!
By the way, huge happy birthday to Diggs412. He just turned 25.
Diggs, man, happy birthday, bro. On 412, man.
What a man.
Diggs 412 turned 25. How about that?
Your birthday was on 412. I envy you. But I'm happy for you. Happy 25th birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.
Good way to clock
Enjoy your day.
Good way to clock out this live stream. You have a happy birthday. You guys have a great weekend, man.